Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Check out the newest release from EcoWorthy. This is their version 3 server rack battery. You spoke, they listened. They've made some changes and modifications based on user experiences and requests. So I'm going to check out this battery today and see if it's better or worse than version 2. If you're looking for a full test, check and review on this super cheap server rack, you found the right video. Let's get right into it. Now it's time for the capacity test on the EcoWorthy Server Rack. As you can see, the battery is already at 100% state of charge. It was topped off 24 hours ago, but I'm going to plug in the charger and hit it again to make sure we're completely full before the capacity run. Alright, the charger stopped right under 57 volts. The battery went off on a cell over voltage protection, so one of the cells went above its set point in there, so that's as far as I can fill the battery with the charger. It's like cell number 2 is our potential runner cell because we're still on the cell over voltage protection. That one's still quite a bit higher than the rest of the cells. And this is a sampling shunt I'm going to be using for the capacity test on this EcoWorthy battery. You can see I've got the sampling shunt energy meter already cleared out. I removed the charging leads right there as well from a moment ago. So now I'm going to turn the inverter on and then connect the load and discharge this battery and see what kind of capacity we can get out of it. So the inverter is on and idling right now, so around 60 watts. All PV inputs and everything is turned off. This is just strictly on this single battery right here. And before the test begins, please reference the battery temperatures reported by the BMS right there. So 80 plus degrees Fahrenheit for the test. Now I will apply the load to the battery. I'll give you some inverter readings and stuff in a minute. So here goes the load. We'll let it stabilize and I'll give you a final reading for the duration of the capacity test. Okay, so the load has stabilized. It is the same charger I was using to charge this battery. Now I'm charging another battery with it. So roughly 23 amps of load, 1234 watts. And over here we're corresponding 22.81 amps, 1222 watts on the app. And then notice the cell over voltage protection went away as soon as I applied a slight load to the battery and dropped that high cell. So let me scroll back down for you to show you that cell reading now. It's still the highest cell even under discharge now. So it's an estimated 4 hours and 18 minutes till empty, so I'll keep you updated along the way. Remember, our goal for this battery, as claimed by the manufacturer, is 5,120 watt hours. And here is some data off the inverter. Our output load from the inverter, 1.25 kilowatts. About to cross the estimated halfway mark on the EcoWorthy. There it went 2.56 kilowatts or 2,560 watt hours. The Bluetooth indicating 50% state of charge, and it switched over at about 25:45, so tracking pretty close. So we'll see how much more it's got left in it. And making note, at 2590 watt hours, the LED indicator on the front panel went down to the halfway mark. About to reach the rated capacity on the EcoWorthy. I'll film it live. There we went, 5,120 watt hours. So we have reached rated capacity on this battery. So let's see how much extra it's got. I'll continue pulling till either shut off the inverter or the BMS in this battery. It's just starting to drop off pretty quick on the EcoWorthy. It's crashing, so something's going to shut off here in just a moment, either the BMS in the battery or the inverter. Got the inverter turned all the way down, so I'll just let it roll and we'll see what cuts off and get a final tally. All right, the BMS shut off on the battery. I thought it was the inverter, but we'll look right here. We see cell under voltage protection. So one cell went below its protocol parameter in the BMS. So let's see which one it is. Looks like this cell right here, number 10. That's got the lowest voltage of the bunch by quite a margin, 2.55 volts. So I ran the battery from cell over voltage to cell under voltage with a tally of 5,309 watt hours. So what's our final tally? We had 5,309 divided by a nominal 51.2 volts. So we had 103.69 amp hours out of the EcoWorthy. That's pretty good. That's kind of what I would expect out of brand new 100 amp hour cells, between 3 and 5% extra. So this battery performed well in its capacity test. I'm happy with it. So I propped the battery up on a little piece of its shipping foam right here so we can look at it a little easier. I'm going to cover what comes with the battery first, and then I will go over the differences between version 2 and this new version 3. So what comes with this new version 3 battery? Well, you get your regular user manual, similar to the version 2 user manual, pretty much the same, just with the updated specs for this version 3. You get a software user guide so you can configure the communication features for this battery to other batteries and inverters. Pretty good little book there. And they got a new little brochure with this one showing about the metal compression or the fixture inside the battery right there and how it makes the battery overall better. The battery also comes with 2 carry handles. They're shipped detached from the battery, so you have to put the handles on when you get the battery. So they got the 2 handles for rack mounting and moving the battery around. The handles also come with some extra hardware right there in case you lose one of the little screws that attach to the side of the case. They give you the grounding lug right there, the screw for the ground lug, and then you have a QC certificate right there. And the battery also includes wiring accessories similar to version 2. You have your ground cable right there, you have a COM cable, and they give you 2 2-gauge interconnect leads. But the difference between this and the last version, these cables are about 2 inches shorter. The last set come with 10-inch cables. These are 8-inch interconnect cables. And the version 3 also comes with Bluetooth capabilities, same as version 2. Now I want to talk about the differences between this new version 3 and the older version 2. If you've watched my video review on version 2 or anybody else's review, you may notice one thing blatantly right off the bat that's different. They reversed the positive and negative terminals on this version 3. Version 1 and 2 had the positive on the right side. This one is, of course, on the left, as you see. And my assumption why they did this is to better match other server rack batteries on the market that are normally biased to left side positive, and most 48-volt inverters, which are biased to left side positive feeds. Now, if you've bought a version 1 or version 2 of this battery, you're going to have quite a long interconnect cable to connect to your existing battery. So now that may throw a little wrench in the works. And no, the included interconnect cables will not be able to reach reverse on the other batteries. If you had a version 2 above this or whatever, no, your cables are not going to reach. So 8 inches quite short. Let's see if a 16 would do it. You might could get by. If you had some 16-inch pre-made cables, you could probably get them to work just fine. This version 3 battery also allows up to 32 batteries in parallel. We have 6 address dip switches right here versus the 4 on version 2, and version 2 only allowed 15 batteries in parallel. And this version 3 also comes with the 125 amp breaker similar to version 2, but this one also has a shunt trip breaker built in for additional safety. And the pass-through terminals on version 3 are different than version 2. These are inset, where version 2 were flush mount screws, and there was a potential on version 2 that you could potentially have a short if you touched to the screws to the case, but they took that safety measure into account on this version, so no way to really short it out now with the case screws for the pass-through. And the version 3 battery is 2 pounds heavier. This battery weighs 97 pounds, where version 2 weighed 95 pounds. And another thing I noticed on this battery versus the version 2, this case is 5 3/4 thick, where the other one was closer to 5 1/4. So a little bit thicker case. I'm curious for using different cells since it got a better capacity pull on this one. And pretty much everything else is basically the same as the previous version. I'll show you the attachment of the handles right here on this case before I disassemble it. You can see the 4 screws right there where you attach the handles. The screws are in the case right there and the handles are separate. So you just remove those 4 screws and then you attach your handles if you need them on there. And then we have a data tag on the side right here, just a sticker just showing the pertinent information and data for the server rack battery. I got all the screws out of the cover on this server rack battery, so let's take a look at it, see how it's built. So this appears very similar to the version 2 battery. And there are some differences I noticed right off the bat. The first one being that the cells look to be a little bit different than the version 2 battery, and also the bus bars have the expansion hump in them instead of just a flat bar connection, so that's a little bit different. We have the same cell support structure as version 2, the same steel casing around the cells, same epoxy board separator material between the cells, very similar overall. Same epoxy board underneath the cover right there in case there's any kind of damage or anything like that. We're not going to short out to the metal lid. We have the same dual 8-gauge wires for the negative, same as version 2. And this is different on version 3 versus version 2. We have a 4-gauge single conductor on the positive. I believe the version 2 had a 6-gauge, a single 6, where this one has a single 4. All the connections in this battery everywhere are super tight. I've gone through and checked everything. No issues with loose wire connections. looking around on top of the cells right here, you notice here and over here, these are the NTC sensors, and they're not attached directly to the cell. I mean, they're in close proximity, but there is an air gap between those sensors and the cell itself. I would like to have seen those actually making physical contact with the cell. Put it down right here, the actual lead, but not the actual end of the sensor itself. So just so you know. And version 3 is using the same board as version 2, the JBD UP16S home energy storage board. And here's the production date on the BMS right here, Friday, May 2nd, 2025. They labeled it as a EcoWorthy model number instead of the JBD model number right there. So, but it is a JBD board. Here's the factory programming list on that board to show you what the factory settings are. So there's your battery capacity, your cell capacities, the full voltages. One thing of note, well actually a couple of things of note, look right here on the BMS calculation, 30% capacity calculation, 3.28, and then see 40%, 3.28. So that could be why the percentages don't track very well during the pull down. You notice that the battery's almost empty and still showing 10%. Check this out, 20% capacity, 3.219 volts per cell, and then 10% capacity, 3.220 per cell. So that's interesting. Then if we look at our protection programming right here, the charge over temp 65C, the under temp is set properly at 0 degrees C with a 5 degrees C above release on that. So showing you some of their program values right here, and then their charge and discharge current value, 120 amps. So I'm working on getting the cell support structure out of the way here so we can get some QR codes on these cells. So let me get that out of the way for you safely so we don't have any risk of short circuits right there, and see what kind of QR codes we can come up with on these cells. Well, let's take a look right here and see what they are. They look like a REPT cell, but I'm going to scan that QR right there and see what we come up with. And a close-up for the QR code I'm going to reference, in case you want to look it up on your own as well. So my QR scanner did confirm that those are REPT cells with a recent production date. I will include a slide right here for your reference. And with the cell support structure moved over the cells right there, of course you saw that a second ago where I pulled that back. We do have fish paper to protect the top of the cells from rubbing against the metal support structure right there. Pretty decent wire management. We got machine screw connections for all the balance leads on this one instead of solder joints or little tiny screws. So that's pretty good to see right there. I pulled a NTC sensor out from right here in the back. I want the longest lead wire from where I showed you a minute ago. So now we'll check high and low temp protection on this battery to see functionality, which I'm sure it should work, but we're going to test it to make sure. And for your reference, this battery does have 5 temperature sensors. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the cells, and then there's a chip on board on the BMS as well. Okay, so I got the battery charging now. I'm going to check for high and low temp charge protection off that sensor right there in just a moment. But you can see right here on the LEDs on the front that we are flashing. That means we're charging. And I set the iPad up right here where you could see the protection switch right here on and off, the charge and discharge switches. So I will apply heat to this sensor first. We'll check for high temp charge protection first, and then I'll get an ice pack and we'll check for low momentarily. So here we go. All right, there it went. You notice we alarmed here on the front panel display first before we went to charge over temp protection over there, so it is functional. All right, the alarm went away right here on the front panel display. The alarm went away on the Bluetooth app. We'll get back to charging momentarily. The charger will have to pick up that current, and there we went, back to charging. Now we'll replicate, except this time I'll be doing low temp. So I'm gonna take the sensor, wrap it up in that ice pack right there, and verify that the low temp charge protection is functional. So just like last time, watch over here. All right, I heard the charger stop. There we go. Charge under temp protection. The alarm light came on right here in the front. So great. We have functioning low temp protection as expected. So let me warm the sensor back up right here. All right, the charger started back up. The protection display went away right here. The alarm went away right here. So great. Works as designed. So I'm going to share my final thoughts on the EcoWorthy Server Rack Battery version 3. Let me start with what I do like about this battery. I like that I have increased capacity versus the version 2 model. I didn't get 100 amp hours out of version 2, but this one well exceeded the 100 amp hour mark with those name brand cells. I like the better bus bar design. Everything else, build quality wise, it's nice and clean, just like the other one. So, that's all pretty good right there. And a couple of things I don't like about this battery. They swapped the terminals back and forth between version 2 and version 3, did that flip-flop. So if you'd have bought a bunch of version 2 batteries and invested in those, and then you ordered some more, and then you'd got a little surprise right there that your terminals were flopped. So you'd have a little extra wire cost. You could make it work. A minor inconvenience right there, but changing their designs and trying to improve it. And I do give them credit for trying to make a better battery, especially in the affordable category. And not having the sensors in direct contact with the cell, I mean, it was close enough, it'd probably not be an issue, but I always like to see the sensors directly contacting the cells for an accurate temperature measurement. And I could not get the shunt trip breaker to actually trip and shut off the main breaker. That shunt trip is controlled by the BMS, and I could not find any parameters or specifications of what conditions triggered the BMS to trip the shunt breaker, which actually will shut down the main breaker. And I thought under a cell low voltage or cell high voltage condition, that would have been one of the pre-programmed points. So I'm still researching this board and how to make it actually trip the shunt. But otherwise, I think this version 3 is a better value for the money than the version 2 that I checked out before. So if you're interested in looking further into this battery, I'll provide a convenient link in the video description down below so you can check out current pricing and offers on this battery and easily find it. I'll also include a link to the EcoWorthy version 2 battery I reviewed a while back, so you can check out that video to kind of compare for yourself the differences between the two. So please let me know what you think about this EcoWorthy budget-friendly battery version 3. Is this something you could use or be interested in? Do you have any EcoWorthy batteries, any version 1 or version 2 server racks, or do you have some of these version 3s already? Please let me know in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care, be safe. I will see you on the next one. Special thanks to EcoWorthy for providing this sample for today's video so I could test and demonstrate your battery's capabilities. Thank you.